I've prepared a table to summarize what we've learned together in these last few shiurim. Let's go through the table together. In the table, I've assumed that a person's fixed income allocated to them on Rosh Hashanah is $100,000, and that a person needs to put in 14 hours a day of active work in order to earn that. I've allocated 8 hours for sleeping and 2 hours of downtime. Eat, do whatever it is that you want. That leaves another 14 hours which are expected to be productive in your life. Fundamental one, you can't escape hard work. That means all 14 hours must be actively used to earn your $100,000. And I've expressed that in the table on the right-hand side, which says there, your financial output, in order for it to be the full $100,000, your commercial activity has to be from 5 a.m. to 7 p.m. 100% of your time needs to be allocated to earning that livelihood. Fundamental two is trust in Hashem does not replace hard work. Reduced effort results in reduced earnings. And if you would cut back your working time, you will earn less. Only working for 60% of your capacity will earn you 60% of what you were allocated, $60,000. And that's expressed in the table over there, that if you would do nothing and sleep in from 5 a.m. till 9 a.m., and at 5 p.m. you would knock off from work and do nothing, and therefore your productive hours are only from 9 until 5, only 8 out of the 14 hours, so then you will only earn 60% of what is allocated for you. If you don't work hard, you will not earn. And fundamental 3 is what we learned in the previous share from Rabbi Nechunya ben Akana, the most incredible thing, that trust transforms our productive hours. That's the place for bitachon in Hashem. Number 1, your commercial hours are replaced with Torah hours, and your commercial time is more financially productive, which means you still need 14 hours of productive time. But if you choose to allocate 6 of those to Torah learning, then in the remaining 8 hours of commercial time, you will still be able to earn your full $100,000. So now 60% commercial activity still produces the $100,000, in addition to a rich life in Torah observance and connection to Hashem. And that's in the final table in the bottom right-hand corner. In this table, your financial output is still $100,000. Just if you're learning from 5 a.m. to 9 a.m. and you're learning from 5 until 7, and therefore you have filled up 6 hours of productive time with Torah time, then all you will need is 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. in order to earn your full $100,000. This table is a simplification, but I feel for those of you who work in pictures and tables and graphs, it will help capture what we've tried to learn together over the last few shiurim in a very, very clear way. And now I would like to challenge you. Let's go back to the very beginning, to the question we were trying to solve. Should my friend take up the brand? Should he put in the additional 10 hours that are required and the additional 2 overseas trips? Or is he just completely wasting his time? You now have all the tools at your disposal to answer this question. The answer is that it depends. It depends on him. What would he do if he didn't take up the brand? You see, he's got 10 hours spare. He clearly does, because as soon as the financial opportunity presents itself, he makes the time for it. And he could devote 2 full weeks of his life to this brand. If instead of allocating those additional 2 hours during the week, every single day, to the brand. He would commit to 2 hours of Torah learning that he would never compromise, never move for anything. There would be a fixed fierce, which would be there forever. And those 2 weeks, which he was going to give, totally devoted to the brand. If he could give those totally devoted to Torah, 2 weeks where he doesn't do anything but learn, then there will be absolutely no benefit in him taking up the brand, and all the additional potential earnings that would have come to him from taking up the brand, Hashem will ensure come to him through the work that he currently would put in his existing business brands. That's the gift from Rabbi Nechunya ben Akana. Incredible productivity in your working hours, that you don't have to put in the extra effort in order to make more, because you've replaced your commercial time with Torah time. If, on the other hand, he's not prepared to make that commitment to learning, then there's no ways he will earn what is allocated to him in Rosh Hashanah. And it looks like there could be more in the future for him. He'll never get that unless he puts in the extra effort, works those additional 10 hours, goes on those overseas trips. He will be short. The choice is really in his hands. Does he want to spend his life running after money, making huge sacrifices of his family time, Torah time, to make it? Or he commit extra time to learning, growing, steiging in his life, and not have to waste the additional hours in work which is unnecessary in the real picture. But he has to make that choice, and has to be very real with himself and very true to his commitment, because Hashem knows you best. There's no kidding around here. You can't pretend you're committed to learning and expect the money to come. Hashem knows where you're at. Based on the principles that we've learned, I would like to share with you now something which I think is quite incredible. Hashem speaks to us in the workplace. Sometimes he shouts, and sometimes he sings our praises. It's always a reflection of our work in our avodas Hashem, in what we're doing. How does he speak? He speaks through the success that you have through the work of your hands. When you put your mind to do something, and it actually works in the quickest and most efficient way that you possibly could, Hashem's telling you, brilliant, I didn't need to waste your time. You committed to learning Torah, you're not wasting time. You need efficiency in your life. And when things just don't go our way, plans fall apart, ideas we have collapse, not because we were lazy in the planning, not because we were lazy in the execution, because if you are, that you deserve them to fail. But you did absolutely everything you could and it just doesn't work. Hashem is talking to you. He's telling you, reflect. I don't waste your time for nothing. I waste your time because I'm talking to you. And I want to show you this insight in the Torah where it tells us this. There's a Mishnah in Kiddushin. The Mishnah says as follows. It's the last Mishnah in Kiddushin. It says, Rabbi Shimon ben Elazar oimer, Ra'ise mi'amecha chaya v'oif sheyesh lehem umnus. Have you ever seen an animal or a bird that has a trade, that has a business? V'hain misparnasim sheloi b'tzar. They get their livelihood without any effort. They don't have to go into business like we do. They get it so easily. V'haloi, says Reb Shimon ben Elazar in the Mishnah. But how can that be? Loi nivru ela l'sham shaini. They were created to serve me. V'ani nivreisi l'shamash es koini. And I was created to serve the creator of the world, my maker. So they're on a much lower level to me. And yet their livelihood comes so easily. How can it be that the animal world, which was created to service my needs, gets its livelihood easily? And I, who was created to serve God, have so much struggle in earning my livelihood. Doesn't it make sense that I should also get my livelihood easily? But I did bad in my life. Speaking about the Chait of Adam Arishon, My actions caused bad, and therefore I froze my livelihood. Yes, 100%. It should have been that my livelihood came easily, and I ate as simply with food which was as readily available as the entire animal world. And that's how it was for Adam Arishon in Gan Eden. But as a result of that chait, my parnasa became further away from me. I had to put in effort now to get it. I want to read you what the Maharal says in this Mishnah. It's absolutely incredible. He says as follows. A person's livelihood is their sustainability. That's what keeps them alive. If a person would not have food, that's just can't be that's a byproduct of the way Hashem created us, because then there would be a lacking in the way that He made us if we didn't have a means to sustain what He made. The person who really does things properly, like Hashem, he should do his job completely, which means he creates the creature and everything that needs to sustain it. And if you find with every single thing that was created in the whole world, they have their parnasa without any effort, without any exertion, the way it should be. And how much more so this should have been the case with Adam, who is the choicest of all creations. And that was the case before Adam sinned. Until he made his actions bad and therefore froze and delayed his parnos. He pushed it off. Now listen to these words. So it is even after the curse. The curse pushed us to a position where we're actually in a much more difficult place than the animal world, and a difficult place than where we were created. But he says even after that, Im hu rosha, hu moisif oid klala al haklala harishan. If you continue to do bad, further bad, you add klala to that klala. You add further curse to that curse. Meaning, the ease with which we make a livelihood gets even more difficult when we start to do things spiritually wrong in our life. And it becomes the mechanism through which Hashem communicates with us. When we do good, when we keep Hashem's mitzvahs, when we're committed to His learning times, when we never miss our Seder, and we've got a real kfiyas in learning, Hashem blesses us, and we should see and taste that blessing in the productivity of our actions at work. That things work, they go according to plan. There's very few interruptions and things that don't work, very few thorns and thistles that come into our handiwork. And if there are, listen to them. Hashem's talking to you, and reflect. Why would Hashem do that? Why wouldn't He make it go easy for me? Why, when I was looking for a job, did I have to go for 30 interviews before I actually got placed? Why couldn't I have just gone to one interview and I liked the job and they liked me on day one? Why did I have to go to so much effort, wandering from place to make a livelihood? Reflect. I don't make it long and windy for no reason. Where could you be going wrong? That's Hashem talking to you. And when it goes quick, no, Hashem's singing. He's singing your praises. He's kissing you. By making the effort that you put in, be productive. And the Chovos Levavos, he says this explicitly. He says the most amazing thing. As we've discussed, he says a person has to work, and you can't be lazy to work. To put in effort. But he says like this. So the Chovos Levavos is in Shar B'tochen Perek Daled. He says as follows. If a person earns his livelihood through the means which he implements, and he decides to toil in order to make his livelihood, that's something incredible, meaning you put in effort and it worked. He says, you should thank Hashem that He fed you as a byproduct of your efforts. V'lo sam amaloi b'tarcha lirik, and you didn't put in effort and toil for nothing. That's an incredible bracha from Hashem. He's blessing you. He's giving you the Shema. You should thank Hashem. Thank you, Hashem. It went so smoothly. And he brings a verse to prove it. Yagia kapecha kisoichel ashrecha v'toiv lach. When you actually eat the fruits of the work of your hands, you should be happy. It's good for you. That's a sign that Hashem is singing with your life, that you've got blessing in your work, that you've got siyata shema in the efforts that you put in. That's the way Hashem talks to you. The Maharal was speaking on the negative and the Chovos Levavos on the positive. The Maharal says if you see that it's difficult for you to make a livelihood, you should know you're adding klal al klalos, you're adding curse to your curse. You're doing things wrong, and Hashem's making it difficult for you to earn your livelihood. On the flip side, the Chovos Levavos says if you put your mind to something to make a living, and you actually make your living through that way, and it actually works, and the efforts that you put in aren't to waste, they don't go for naught, you should thank Hashem. He's blessing you. And He blesses you when He's happy with you. Yagia kapech ki soichel, when the fruits of your hands you eat, ashrecho, should be so happy. Toiv lach, it's good for you. Hashem speaking to you. He communicates to us every single day of your life at work through the language that only you and I understand. I only understand the language of business, and Hashem speaks to me through that language. That language is the successes and the failures of every single project that I put my mind to. When it succeeds, I thank Him. When it fails, I question why. Not the business acumen of why. Why would He make my efforts go for nothing? Where could I improve? Maybe my time for learning is not really fixed. I think it is, but maybe it's not. Perhaps there's aveiros in my workplace which I'm not careful about. Perhaps I'm stealing time, stealing resources from my boss. Perhaps I'm not being honest enough with my customers. Why would He not let the works of my hands turn to fruits which I can enjoy? There's reason for it. It's the most incredible, engaging relationship you will ever have. You talk to Him when you daven, and you spill out your heart and what your needs are. And He responds to you at work through the productivity or lack thereof that you experience in the efforts that you commit yourself to.